Hello everyone, it's John. Real quick, I just wanted to add a few caveats. This is our very first video, so it is extremely rough. None of us are professionals at this. None of us have any real experience doing this. None of us, as far as I'm aware, have ever recorded something for YouTube or any kind of media like that. So we are extremely rough. Also, if there's an audio issue, I apologize for that. That is on me. I'm still learning my audio and my visual tech, learning how to manipulate it and everything, so I'm working on that. We've had a major issue with our camera system, so until we get that sorted out, these videos are going to be podcast style. We are, of course, going to be getting that camera system sorted out. Once we do, we're going to go to a full video style, so that way you can attach faces to names. Also, because this is our first one, I completely forgot my intro, so obviously if you want to make a suggestion for a video that we should do, something we should talk about, the description is going to have our email address. Send the recommendations there. We obviously are going to try and read the comments, but keep in mind that we do not have as much free time as we would like. This is just a labor of love. It is not a professional thing that we are able to do, so we are very pressed for time until we get a chance to do it. So definitely, if you want to get in touch with us for a suggestion, send it in the email. Otherwise, make sure you like the videos so we know to keep making those. Subscribe, turn on your notifications, and with that, I'm going to let you get to the actual video. Today on B-Roll Commentary, Superman's hanging up his cape to fight monsters. Does a live-action show measure up to a cartoon from over a decade ago? And Aquaman's the next big DC movie? Today on B-Roll Commentary, we're talking about the state of the DCU. Hello everyone, welcome to B-Roll Commentary. I'm John.
This is Gary.
I'm Joa.
And like the intro said, today we're talking about basically everything going on with the movie and TV verse of the DC Universe. So where do we want to start, guys?
I want to start with the following statement. We are not professionals. We are just guys that enjoy movies, comics, things of that nature, and we have our own opinions. So, if you disagree, feel free to comment. If you agree, feel free to comment. Other than that, I say we start with Superman hanging up his cape to fight monsters.
Okay, so this kind of stems a little bit off course of talking just about the DCU. I mean, we're not going to go into our opinion, good or bad, of Henry Cavill becoming Geralt in the Witcher series, but with back and forth rumors of whether he's going to be there or not, I mean, if they do get rid of him, is that going to hurt the DCU? Because, I mean, he technically was, in recent years, their main flagship character as Superman, but, I mean, is it going to be that detrimental if he does not come back to the Cape?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree it's going to be a problem. I don't think there's been a...
We're 5 years in to the DCU movie universe, the current continuity. And in 5 years in, we are sitting at basically a Wonder Woman movie that has succeeded. And that's about it. Everything else has maybe broke even, but none of it has been the blockbuster hits that we're seeing on the other side of that comic book movie line.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
That's agreed.
I mean, at this point in the Marvel universe, we have already hit $1 billion movie.
We've hit a few billion-dollar movies, I think.
Yeah, and I think to see our Iron Man or our Captain America step down after just 5 years when we're literally at a 10-ish year mark and we're not even sure that they're stepping down yet in Marvel, I think it sends a lot of... Not that they have to mimic Marvel, let me start off saying that. But I think what we've already been trained to see come from a powerhouse of IPs like a comic book publisher, I think we see a lot of red flags, and this is by far the most alarming.
Well, you know, kind of like on topic of that, losing their Iron Man, their Captain America, there's also the rumor that they're getting rid of Ben Affleck as Batman. I mean, again, these are kind of rumors, so we don't know whether it's going to happen or not. But, I mean, if we lose the two of them, that could be a good thing, because, I mean... Like you said, we've only gotten a great Wonder Woman. There's been a lot of people that have hated the Batman versus Superman thing. There was a lot of people that didn't like, especially how some of the characters in Justice League were handled. a lot of things like that. So it might be a good thing. They might be able to go, hey, we got rid of Batman, we got rid of Superman, we have new actors, new directors, hey, we can fix this. And Wonder Woman is still our person that's drawing everything in because she's pretty much, at this moment, majority, not everybody, because there are people I've known that have liked Justice League and Batman versus Superman and everything, but there are plenty of people that do not think any movie has come out of DC that was good except for Wonder Woman.
Well, let me say one thing.
Okay.
The fact that he's been the best Superman since Christopher Reeves. I personally think.
I can go with that.
I wouldn't disagree.
Not that Brandon Routh isn't a good actor,
No, I like
because
him
he went on to
I like him better as the
another
Atom.
role.
Yeah, I like him better as the Atom, personally.
I do too, but he's been the best Superman. As a fan, I was not impressed with Affleck as Batman. Not at all.
I wasn't either. I'm still behind. I was not either, but I wasn't one of these rooting that they should replace him either. You made a choice, you went with it. Let's live with it. Was my stand.
I understand, and I kind of agree. You made a choice. Take it and do something with it. That's the problem.
And
They didn't do something with it.
yeah, I think their big problem was they initially tried to do it as this is the old Batman, the old Bruce Wayne from the Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns comic run, and that's why they went with Ben Affleck and they went with the Batman v Superman and the mech suit and everything, and they went with the Batman that kills because he does in that. But the big problem with that is you can't take him and then put it with a Wonder Woman that's basically technically still seeing the light side of humanity, unlike being retreated back to Themyscira because pretty much the government turned against her. You've got a cyborg that is idealistic. You have the, I don't want to call him the Flash, but I guess I have to, who is so idealistic, his statement in the movie is, I've never punched anyone, I just shove them. You can't have those kinds of characters with Frank Miller's Batman.
Yeah, and if they would have looked at the history of Frank Miller's Batman and acknowledged it, because of course these people knew the history, Dark Knight 2 and 3 are considered some of the worst comic books ever written by a mainstay publisher and a mainstay artist.
Agreed.
And author.
Agreed.
They were written by Frank Miller. Like, nothing except Frank Miller's original run, which I think really struck chords with the indie art house that was hiding in mainstream comics for so long. The Image kind of brought to the forefront along with others much later down the road. But like, I think Frank Miller's success was on the backs of something that's not there for the MCU and DCU universe, whatever they're calling that cinematic universe.
They tried to make Man of Steel a little darker than they should have, and they tried to carry that over to Batman v Superman. Superman, unless it was an alternate universe or an alternate storyline, was not that dark.
No.
And they tried to make him that dark to go along with the Batman they were creating, when they should have went, I personally think they should have went a little bit the other way.
I agree, although I don't think anything they did wrong in Man of Steel was worth course correcting. That's my biggest problem with letting Henry go, is there was nothing there that needed course correcting, and the only way that you don't meet your star, now Wonder Woman aside, Gal Gadot is the star, more of a star too, but your leading male role, we'll go with.
We'll go with that.
Your leading male role, the only you just don't let him go. You want this to be a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and you just let your leading male walk out the door. And he's one of the hottest stars in Hollywood right now. Just did the newest Mission Impossible, the craziest stunts. Was being courted by The Witcher, we now found out.
Yeah.
and has other stuff coming up that it's not worth getting into at the moment, but that's all top-notch stuff. He's literally on the level with Tom Cruise at the moment, and that's something in Hollywood still.
Well, as a good transition, speaking of that, let's talk about the fact that, the rumors of Tom Cruise being Hal Jordan for the new Green Lantern movie that they're planning. There's a lot of rumor that he's doing that. Me personally, and I know the argument of he's not too old appearance-wise because Robert Downey Jr. is, I think, just now about to hit 50. So I'm not using it as an argument like that. I'm using it as an argument of I don't know if that is the person you want associated with the Green Lantern, because Hal Jordan is usually, I say usually, a really youthful and arrogant character, and I
can already tell you Joe disagrees with you.
I can see it on his face.
Yeah, well, I've heard this
Some
before,
of my favorite Green Lantern stories had white streaks down the hairline of Hal Jordan.
Yeah, when he was possessed by Parallax.
No, he was before.
You're right, pre-Parallax.
Pre-Parallax
for a while there.
For the first appearance of Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner with the ring. He was both depicted that way, and I am excited if they choose to go with an older, I say older, we're talking 40s and 50s, not old by any means, but with an experienced Green Lantern.
Thank you for clarifying that, considering I'm 52.
I understand. It's with an experienced Green Lantern coming back to train the newest Green Lantern for Earth's.
Yeah,
okay,
but Joe's argument also to me at one point in time was that he wanted to see the Hal Jordan not only more experienced but also a little more physical.
And let's go back to that. Yes, because here's where he's going with this. I want to see a Hal Jordan be a little more physical, which he was in the books. I wanted to see if you bring in Tom Cruise to play the older Hal Jordan and bring in a young Jon Stewart, Michael B. Jordan, then what you could do.
The problem with that is he's supposed to be playing a new Superman, maybe.
Well,
there's a lot of rumors.
Michael B. Jordan is Steel, a new version of Steel. He's not big enough, but that would be. Who cares? It's a suit of armor. Do you really need a Shaq in the suit?
I don't know. He looks pretty big in Black Panther. So,
and this is what DC needs. They need to go steal some Marvel actors that aren't under contract.
Well,
now, I don't know that Michael B. Jordan isn't, but
to be fair, they've already done that talking about doing that with James Gunn. I mean, he's directing Suicide Squad, or he's
smartest.
He's writing Suicide Squad 2.
That's the important part.
They're talking about having a director.
I know everybody talks about him being the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, but let me tell you something. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, if they make it with James Gunn's script for 3, it'll be fine. Because James Gunn's true talent for Guardians of the Galaxy was his writing. He wrote those scripts. And if he's coming in to write something for DCU, it is the smartest move I have seen them do since Jeff Jones come over. So, but anyway, back to the Hal Jordan. What I want, this is the story I want for Hal Jordan, because I digress off of that. Older Hal Jordan, been off in space doing whatever, and this is a plot point, so I'm saying whatever. Some threat has come back to the universe, or specifically Earth sector. Hal Jordan has to come back, and maybe he's told to go back because Oa is choosing a new lantern for that sector. And so he goes back to train said new lantern, and that new lantern can be, if it was my movie to write, I would personally pick Guy Gardner, but if I was actually paid to write this, I would pick Jon Stewart to put a minority there, because it's one of the early minorities. I'm tired of people saying there's not minorities in comics and changing my heroes. There have been minorities in comics my whole life. I'm 34 years old, and they've been some of my favorite characters.
Not only that, but Joe is a huge Guy Gardner fan.
I'm a huge Guy Gardner fan, but I would put him back to Guy Gardner, and then you know what I do? Exactly what John just said. Now you've got Tom Cruise getting ready to play your villain in some sequel coming up with Parallax.
Where he gives it
and Tom Cruise playing a villain is always the right decision.
That would not be too terrible of a thing. And you said it. Michael B. Jordan can play the role, and a lot of people I know are gonna kind of be like, "Isn't he a little young to be playing like this seasoned character that Jon Stewart is?" But the thing that a lot of people who haven't lived in the life like I have don't know is that when you go to a special
unit, like the snipers, like he is supposed to be a scout sniper for the Marine Corps, you pick up a little bit faster because your pool is a lot smaller. The more people you got in there, the slower you pick up rank. So it would be a little bit of a stretch, but not a huge stretch to have a younger guy in the role of John Stewart being a gunny when he gets out of the Corps, when he becomes a Green Lantern. It wouldn't be that much of a stretch. So I could totally see him doing that. Even if it could even change the rank, make him lower in rank if that was their big issue with it. But I mean, I would definitely. I know he's really hot right now because of how good he did as Killmonger in Black Panther. But yeah, like Michael B. Jordan would be my top pick. Don't get me wrong. If I had my absolute true and honest pick, there are some other actors out there I would get to play John Stewart instead of him, but they are significantly older.
Well, here, this is where I'm going to cut you off for a second, because this is my example here. It is rumored to be a Green Lantern Corps movie.
That is true. So it could be.
So what if both Hal Jordan and John Stewart were older?
Oh, dear.
And that this is the story of Kyle Rayner. I know he's the least favorite Lantern of Earth, or it could even be Baz and
I don't know
Jessica Cruz.
I don't know that
But
Kyle Rayner is the least favorite Lantern of Earth.
Yeah,
that's true. But
you've got six of them to pick from now. Take your pick.
And
Somebody's going to tell you one of them.
But
is
an
the least
older
favorite.
John Stewart leaves some amazing people out there to play John Stewart.
They do.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, did you see a Denzel Washington? And there are more black actors than Michael B. Jordan, Denzel Washington, Chad Boseman. But Denzel Washington playing a bad John Stewart.
After watching
Especially-
Equalizer and Equalizer 2, I could see it.
John Stewart. Forget John Stewart. Did you see Denzel Washington and Tom Cruise in a fight on screen? Holy crap, that would be amazing.
Oh, Lord.
And don't you know that two old Army guys are going to ignore those rings and go at it in a cafeteria somewhere?
It's going to be
Just-
bad. That's going to be a bad fight.
Amazing.
But-
I could write 1,000 Green Lantern Corps movies. There's no way you can strip Green Lantern Corps movie if you're at all a fan.
Really?
So-
really? I will challenge that. Have you seen the Ryan Reynolds movie?
Ryan Reynolds' only mistake was the villain.
That was the big mistake.
The
only
suit looked
mistake-
horrible, but
The suit looked horrible. Reynolds actually did a decent job.
I would have cast him.
as-
Guy Gardner playing Hal Jordan.
I started to say I would have cast him as either Guy Gardner or maybe even as Kyle Rayner. He had that kind of joking, whimsical quality to him of I'm not jaded, I don't hate my life. This is freaking cool that I can make
Speaking of
stuff.
diversity, though, if you're going to cast Kyle Rayner, go ahead and make him full Asian.
Yeah.
Okay, let me say this, guys. We're going to have a topic on diversity in movies at some point, I'm
All right,
sure.
I stepped out of line there.
But-
we have a basic outline script, and this is something we believe passionately in, so we'll get back to it.
We're not racist by any means, none of us. And we are all for having diversity in movies if it's called for.
Or the character's so minor that nobody really cares.
Right,
And it's
but
not a
when
part
you
of their
take
identity.
major characters and you do diversity for diversity's sake,
It's a bit of a pet peeve.
it's a bit of a pet peeve. So,
Which we can come back to later.
we'll get
but
that later.
So, since you let it slip that we have kind of a broad outline of a script here, talk Wonder Woman, the new Wonder Woman 84. So the big thing is, originally it was how is Steve Trevor coming back? When we first sat down, we were debating on getting this whole thing started, but I'm pretty sure since then it's been revealed that she makes a deal with somebody to bring him back. So
Which I think is wrong. I think they should have done like they did with the Linda Carter series. Had Trevor have a kid.
who happens
Maybe even have a grandkid that looks like him.
to look identical to him and everything.
You know.
Yeah. That's a way you could have done it. I'm kind of happy that they're doing the this is going on thing because that could very easily be, the classic moral quandary. Hey, I'm trying to do evil thing X. Well, Wonder Woman has to stop him. Well, that's fine, but understand if you stop me, I'm reversing our deal, and Steve Trevor goes back to being dead.
I'm okay with it because I think it's adding one of my favorite things. The one thing that DC does better than Marvel and most people
I'm gonna
probably
argue this.
don't think this, but in my opinion, the one thing DC does better than Marvel is magic.
I disagree. I'm a Doctor Strange fan. Huge.
The thing is, Doctor Strange is literally the only thing Marvel did right with magic.
I can agree with that.
And
Sorry to
DC
say, yeah.
has literally a entire cast of magic people that are done amazingly. And if she struck a deal with a couple of them, meaning they're in this movie, I am super stoked. Well, just let me go ahead and blanket say, I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman 84 more than I'm looking forward to Captain Marvel 92, whatever.
Really?
Hear that? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I have high hopes of Captain Marvel.
I'm looking forward to it more than I'm looking forward to the so-called Flash movie that they're talking about.
We'll
We'll get to
talk
that.
about Flash.
Indigestion.
We'll talk about Flash. Last thing I want to ask: there were the pictures that were shown from the set of the Wonder Woman movie, which kind of made a lot of people make the guess on: do we think she's actually going to have the invisible jet? And if so, I hope that as a throwback, it does do like it did in the Linda Carter series, or like they did in the recent comic, where her and the Flash are in the jet, and he's like, "Let's just wait until the rest of the League gets here. They can't see us, right?" And she looks up and says, "Flash, you realize only the jet is invisible. They can see us." And he asks, "Why does it work like that?"
Here's just a general way that could work, and I'd be great with it. If she has some Themysciran device that turns whatever it touches invisible, she sets it down in the jet, and the jet goes invisible, and that's it. Like, I'd be fine. Like, if it's something that's just temporary and not an actual invisible jet.
Well, in the comics, the old comics, I don't know
what
about lately, but in the old comics, the invisible jet was exactly that, an invisible jet. It was that way in the Wonder Woman TV series with Linda Carter. And
yeah, but that's just cheese.
yeah, it is cheesy.
So
But
like I said, that's from what the pictures show, because the pictures show that she's in the flight harness, the wire rig that they use when they're making the actors fly and such, and it kind of looks like she's sitting. And so a lot of people have been like, is that just that 1 in a million shot that they caught it and it looks like she's doing something that is not going to be related to the movie, or is that actually supposed to be her in the cockpit of an invisible jet? Because it's kind of hit or miss. So we'll have to wait until that comes up. I just wanted to hear the general opinion.
Let me say one thing about that picture. I think it was shot a little low to be an invisible jet.
Unless she's landing.
She could be jumping.
That's also true. See, yeah,
and her legs be bent up under her
it could be
as she jumped.
You're right. So
it's a comic book movie. It was either a
well, we've always seen she can fly in the first one, so kind of like in the current runs, it would be kind of redundant for her to have that, except in places where it's like not conducive to her just flying there.
It's either something I said, she's got something that grants invisibility, she used it, they need to get away, and she's trying to take more than just her, obviously since she flies, and she sets it down in the plane, it turns the whole plane invisible. Or it's literally a one-off thing where the plane never even flies. She gets in it, sits down, and it's some type of DC equivalent of shield tech that they haven't worked out, and that's a joke. It's just one big... that's all. I don't think we're going to actually see any kind of cheesiness of a flying...
Yeah, I don't look for it. The last one had a real good serious tone to it. I don't think we're going to.
Especially with it being in 1984.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. We've talked the Trinity. Let's talk about the next generation.
Okay.
As of the time of this thing coming out, we have seen... Well, me and Gary have seen episode 1 and episode 2 of Titans. Joa, you've said you've only seen episode 1, so let's go ahead and hear what your opinion was on episode 1 of the Titans.
Let me explain something real quick. The reason John and I have seen episode 2 is because we're father and son, and we watch a lot of stuff together. So,
episode 1 was so bad I could not finish watching it. This is for all of you that have not seen this.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, let's add our spoiler alert right here.
Well, no, I'm not going to give story spoiler.
It's possible
'Cause
that me and Gary will unintentionally. So let's do spoiler alert right here if you haven't seen Titans 1 and 2.
The story's not worth spoiling. So this is why I had to turn it off. They promised us that the looks we were seeing in screenshots were pre-CG. They were, in one case, it was the characters constantly evolving, and he will look the way he's supposed to. In another case, it was the person it doesn't have their power. When she gets her power, she will look that way. In another case, it was, this person's dressed down. He normally always looks this way. In another, it was a similar thing. And what it turns out to is basically, to save money, I'm sure, all of the Titans will look like normal people, minus some funky colored hair, until they need to use their power for whatever fight scene they're in. Literally, I've seen more effort to sticking to comic books in any one episode of The Flash, The Green Arrow, Supergirl than I did in all of what I managed to actually watch. And I skipped around. When I realized there was no way I was going to watch this without making sure there was a payoff, I started skipping every 2 minutes looking for the payoff and then watching specific scenes. So I managed to watch every scene where they actually looked anything like what they should. And I've seen all of about 4 minutes worth of film.
Okay.
You want to go next?
Yeah, I'm going to go next.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say this. Robin, I liked because, one, is he overly violent? Yes, but when you put that in the context of, and I'm trying to keep an open mind here, that this is a Batman that kills. They have canonically said that this Batman does kill people in this series. Growing up in that, you're going to have an extremely violent individual that was his protege, even as they're moving away from it. Which is a nice thing that he says in the second one, is that he regrets what he's become, what he's turned into, what he's become. But very rarely have I ever been able to look up and say, they reached into the comic, ripped the suit off of a character, slapped it on somebody, and said, hey, you are person X now. Because he looks legitimately like Robin is supposed to look. Like, it's the Tim Drake Robin, not the Dick Grayson Robin, which I'm thankful for, because that would be short pants and no one wants that. Well, maybe there's some people that want that, but I didn't want that. In regards to Raven, she comes off very believably as a kid who I am freaking the hell out because I don't know what is going on with me. Like, I thought that was very appropriate. As for Starfire, Starfire's story is quite literally, it's one part classic spy story and one part doesn't make any sense because it's the wake up in a car with a dead driver in an accident, there are bullet holes and a car coming, escape, dig through my pockets / purse in a bathroom, find one passport with my picture, find another passport with the same picture and a different name, hotel key, in the hotel, which I somehow magically have enough funds to buy the entire top floor of a very nice hotel, I find person who tells me they have no idea how I infiltrated their inner circle.
Not only that, but they're speaking a language in the hotel that she understands.
Well, there's a canonical reason for that.
Well, there might be, but
yeah. Anyways, and then when she doesn't, she gets a little weirded out when she punches the guy across the room and he basically dies from like crushed in ribs or a heart attack or something from one punch. But later, when confronted with the guys that she goes to talk to at the club, doesn't seem freaked out at all that she just literally melted bullets and barbecued 3 people. And I mean, like, these people are still standing up in her torch.
Yeah.
Because the first one, it's punch, holy crap, how did I punch that guy across the room? Next one is, whoosh,
Actually,
oh, that's kind of cool that I just literally burned 3 people alive. There's no freak out, there's no nothing. So, does she know what her abilities are and she doesn't know her past? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense. Or does she know everything and she's just trying to piece together what happened in the last 24 hours, the last few weeks? Because
she does not know her powers.
Then that is not the reaction of a person who thinks that they are relatively human.
Yeah.
I would assume, unless she has some indication she's not human, that is not the reaction of a person who just literally burned 3 people alive.
Okay,
The,
my turn.
Okay, go ahead.
I agree with John on Robin. I agree with John on Raven. I agree with Joa and John on Starfire. I hold judgment on Beast Boy. Now, that being said, episode 2, 100 times better than episode 1.
do they look like themselves?
Hawk and Dove do look like
Hawk and Dove look
I'm
in
talking
character.
about the 4.
You don't see the
other.
4.
You see Robin, and
You see Robin, and you see Raven, and you see Hawk and Dove.
There is no Beast Boy. There is no Starfire in this episode at all.
Which worries me that they're going to have an episode where it's just those two. Because I agree with you on Starfire. I agree with John on Starfire.
Well, I just feel betrayed by the creators of the show. Our number one problem, we're getting right back into diversity here, but our number one problem with the show casting was that you cast a black woman to play Starfire. Fine. Cast a black woman to play Gamora. No problem.
You can
You
cast,
can cast there is no race there because they're alien. But
paint her
I
orange.
knew when they cast a black woman to play Starfire that they did it because for the majority of it they were going to come up with some BS reason why she looked human.
And didn't paint her orange.
And they weren't going to paint her orange so that they had minority on the
you
show.
painted Gamora green,
And-
paint her orange.
It was like,
And
and then they said no when she has her power. Well, Starfire always has her power, so we all were like, okay, great. Oh no, you mean when she uses her power,
Yeah.
she now glows like the Human Torch. Where the hell did you get this character from? This is not Starfire.
Starfire.
This is a perfect example of just create your own character and give her a name.
there are characters that are canonically ethnically diverse that are members of the Titans. Grab that one.
Exactly.
You don't, this is the thing. People look up and they think because of the Teen Titans series, you have to have Robin, Raven, Beast Boy, Starfire, and probably Cyborg. That's like the inner core 5. But here's the thing. You don't. There are plenty of iterations of the Titans that were before Starfire,
Had
that
Wonder
were
Girl.
that were before Cyborg was a member of the team. There are ones afterwards.
Kid
where
Flyer?
There was an iteration. It lasted for like less than half a comic, but there was an iteration where it was Cyborg, Hawk, Dove, Aqualad,
Donna.
Donna Troy. Yeah, there was like a really weirdly mixed one. So you don't need them. They're the most noticeable ones because the cartoon that came out like 10 years ago or more. But yeah, there is one thing I did not like about Hawk and Dove, and that is like it's supposed to be in the comics. It's obviously a domino mask like Robin wears, or it's like lenses that are fitted into a cowl like Batman wears, and they tried to make it just like goggles kind of on Dove, and it just looked really weird. It literally was like
I liked the costume.
I didn't like it. Was the costume was fine. My problem was just the eye mask looked like it was clunky, and
Looked like Blue Beetles.
yeah, it looked kind of like Blue Beetles. It looked clunky. It didn't look like that. I was like, what is wrong with just putting a domino mask on her like they have 1,000 other characters, like they did with Robin in this?
I just feel this is not something that I care for. I mentioned that Frank Miller's Batman, the original, was a hit, but it wasn't a hit with me. I did not enjoy it. And this is a darker tone. One of the other problems is episode 1, the one guy that's been literally, I guess we're going with, abused and forced to be a horrible person that kills people as answers to a vigilante, being a vigilante, is the one dude that doesn't kill anybody in the first episode. Literally, the other 3 kill people in the first episode. And the Titans are like, that is not who the Teen Titans are. There are plenty of groups that deal with that in different ways. Some of them emotional, some of them carefree. But the Titans were never a group that did that.
Okay,
Yeah, the closest you got was either A, Ravager, Deathstroke's daughter, or the one comic where they went into the far future and basically all of them went kind of batshit crazy and murdered all the villains. That
So
was
I
Okay,
just
about
felt
two versions.
we're just going way off of the Titans.
I'm going to change the tone of the Titans here, I have two things I want to say. First off, the critics, according to what's being posted by DC, claim Starfire to be the one that steals the show, the end-all, be-all of the show.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
personally think Raven stole the show in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, she paints a very believable picture of, okay, I was kidnapped after my mother was killed, tied to a chair by a crazy guy who said he was going to cut my heart out, and then that guy wound up with all of his internal organs crushed, all of them according to the coroner, while I was still tied to that chair in a locked room with him, and she's freaked out by it.
The scene that you're mentioning is in episode 1, for those who haven't seen it, and it's one of the ones I did watch, because it's how I counted her as someone that killed somebody. It was the best scene I watched.
She stole the show in both episodes.
Followed secondly by the scene that, even though it made me mad watching it, where Starfire kills a bunch of people. That scene was a cool scene. It completely solidified that this is not Starfire that I care about. And one, she doesn't have fire.
No, in the comics, she doesn't have fire.
Clarifying on that, there are a couple of comics where it's drawn, her energy is drawn orange instead of green. It does splash off of things. A lot of people, I've seen it when people say Starfire doesn't have fire powers, they reference back to
Those comics.
Yeah, there's a comic in particular where the Titans wind up getting into a dispute with the Justice League because Donna Troy gets killed by a Superman robot, and she blasts Superman in the chest. If you look, there's no fire coming off of that. It's a beam that goes out of her hand, hits him in the chest, and then splashes off. There's no flame to
but
it.
this
If you watch the 5 or 6 seasons of Teen Titans Go, the one that matters,
That goes.
Go is the one that
Matters?
they're both called Go.
No,
Yes.
the original
No,
Teen Titans.
I don't care what you say. It's Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. Clarify yourself right now.
You can go Google it now. Anybody listening can. It is technically Teen Titans Go. The original one was too. They were both called Teen Titans Go.
I will take you up on that.
I don't think so. But anyway, the original Teen Titans, we're going to say that.
The original Teen Titans Go was it ran for seasons, and she had green shooting out of her for there. I don't understand. I don't understand why we had to change the character so much when you just could have wrote a new character.
Well, I had 2 things to say, so I'm going to say this. The other one is, I don't care if you make her black. I don't care if you make her Asian. I don't care if you make her an Eskimo. It's not about diversity in this situation that I'm going to bring up. It's about the fact that I did not find the actress believable. I did not find her compelling. And I certainly did not. And she is supposed to be an extremely attractive woman. That has nothing to do with her acting ability or anything of that nature. Go ahead.
Just looked it up for you, Joa. Teen Titans is the official name of the animated TV series that started July of 2003 that ran for 5 seasons. It is not Teen Titans Go. That was part of the theme song. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking right at it. It even says not to be confused with Titans 2018 TV series or Teen Titans Go. It is Teen Titans. But
It
anyways,
doesn't matter. Teen Titans Go.
Anyways, again, with the not a good actress, there are some real critical issues I have with.
I would like to go ahead and state that I thought she was hot as balls.
Okay,
But
so
that's
two
still-
different opinions. I was indifferent.
I actually have spent the week trying to decide whether she or Hot Girl was hotter. I haven't made up my
Hawk
mind.
Girl was hot.
You mean Dove?
No,
I
Hawk
mean
Girl
Hawk Girl.
from
Oh,
the
Hawk
TV
Girl
series.
from Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Last thing we're going to say on that is the occasional bout of a character saying something that is completely contradictory to character. Like, for example, episode 2. Robin shows up. They see all of the fighting going, or Robin shows up, and I don't remember if it's at the end of the episode or when he first shows
Near
up.
the end of the episode.
But Hawk, and anyone who has read the old school Hawk, when Hawk is when it's the two brothers or it's the
Hawk
male
and Dove.
hawk and the female dove, not the two sisters. When it's the male hawk, they will know that guy was that guy would have fit in appropriately for this series. This guy was a bone breaker. This guy was a
Body dropper.
smashing you through a car door window, pulling guns. That guy had no qualms about dropping bodies. And one of the first things he says when he sees Robin is, "Oh look, the psycho," or something similar to that. I don't remember the exact wording, but he calls him a psycho.
It was at the end of the series.
It is. It's at the end because it's after he saves them from the
Right.
warehouse thing.
And
You're
the
right.
way he saves them is bloody
And violent.
and violent.
But at the same time, Hawk calling someone psycho is like Lobo saying someone's being too rough with people. It is not a statement that should have been made. Should he now? Are there issues in which Hawk mellows out a little bit because of because of Dove's influence? Absolutely. But at the same time, there are tons and tons of episodes and issues and stuff where you should never have Hawk say, "Hey, look, you're a psycho because you beat the holy crap out of those people." That's a bit of a problem. But since we talked about it, let's talk the CW series.
Let's talk to CW, period.
Real recently, and by recently I mean a couple of weeks ago, we got a look at the first one of, I think it's Ruby Rose, I don't remember, I think that's her actual name, I'm not 100% sure on it, in the Batsuit.
For the new
Batwoman series they're doing, as well as the crossover
Crossover.
this year that they're going to be doing. My first opinion is this. I have no issue with the suit, and I had issues initially with her in the role, just because she's tatted up all to hell. But then I remembered Kate Kane, the actual person in the actual Batwoman in the comics, is tatted up as well. My main issue is, and it maybe just was that one picture, it looked kind of to me like they took Christian Bale, like one of the cowls from the Dark Knight movies with Christian Bale, the Nolan Batman verse, and just like carved out a portion of it or a slit through it so that they could just pull her hair through it. I was kind of expecting the one that they have where it's like the face mask that's open more or less in the front and probably wraps around the back but leaves enough for the hair to get out. That literally to me looks like, and again, can't really see it in the picture, but they just kind of took the cowl from the Nolan verse, carved out a portion of it, put it on her and said, "Hey, we'll pull the hair/wig through here." Other than that, I liked it. It's a good look. I have no issue with it, and it may actually get me to watching the CW series again.
I agree. The costume looks good. I have no problem with the woman that's playing the part. And I probably will at least check out the first episode.
Because I mean, this is legitimately since Adam West we're gonna have someone in a bat suit on a live action TV series. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm
We're not
probably-
counting Gotham because Gotham, they're only going to put the bat suit on an actual person in the last few minutes of the final episode of the series.
Yeah, we're not counting Gotham for a lot of reasons, as far as I'm concerned.
We're not going to go into how many reasons. Anyways, other than that,
What's your opinion,
Yeah, go ahead. I
of the
forgot.
picture that you saw?
yeah, go ahead.
I think it looks good. I'm excited who they picked. The girl that they picked reminds me of one of my favorite porn stars, Christy Mack. So I'm really hoping that we're going to get some decent parody porn out of this when it comes around. So,
Of course you are.
anyway, for those who don't want to know, just go Google search Christy Mack while at
Of course.
not work.
Yeah. In regards to the other series, big thing that Joe probably hasn't heard about. You watched some of the Flash, right? You saw or did you watch the Flash up until they were fighting Zoom?
Yeah,
Okay, so you saw that they had Jay Garrick on there, right?
yeah.
And the big surprise, it was played by the guy who played Wally West in the
He played
The Jay Garrick from
Barry
the other
Allen.
universe.
Yeah, that guy who played Barry Allen, not Wally West, but Barry Allen in the old Flash TV
Yeah.
series from
Yeah.
the thing. Which, for those of you who are too young to know this, there was a prior Flash series played by the guy who played Jay Garrick. I honestly cannot for the life of me remember his name at the moment. But yeah, well, big surprise because they are doing an Elseworld thing where the guy that plays Oliver Queen, Stephen Amell, is going to be in the Flash suit. And
I did see.
Did you see the one where the guy that plays Jay Garrick in that series is going to be back in the Flash suit as old Barry Allen as well?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm really looking forward to if they do that is I want to see the Poofy. For those of you who haven't seen the old Flash TV show from the 90s, he had a Poofy costume.
Oh, it
I
is.
so want to see
is.
that Poofy costume.
It is
They're gonna do
one of the
this.
people that I follow online. They actually released a thing where they were talking about having to recreate that suit.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's like
Awesome.
I was a huge fan of the Flash and the Green Arrow series when they first come out. Watched them both for many seasons. The problem that got me away from the Green Arrow, and I don't know if they ever fixed it, was when your go-to move at the end of every season is he quits, or he goes to jail, or he's on trial,
or he gets outed as the Green Arrow.
or he gets outed. That gets a little old.
Yeah, because I mean,
There's a bunch of ways that you can end a season without having to go to that.
which according to what I've heard, they did get away from it this one. He went to jail, but apparently they've gone with a different route now. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been watching it either. Kind of stopped on Flash. To be truthful, the last one that I watched to its finish is Legend of Tomorrow, which I'm kind of bummed they're not gonna be in there. You know,
I agree. They should be in the crossover, but they're not going to be.
the interaction, especially since they added John Constantine to the mix as a member, is what made it great. You know, that was what made it really good. So I was kind of looking forward to that. You know, one of my favorite moments from last year's crossover when they had everybody work, or no, the one before that where they had the Dominators and everything, was literally Supergirl landing and being like, with Mick was like, "What's your code name?" And he said it, and it's like, da, da, da. It's like, well, you can call me Supergirl. I'm not calling you that. Well, what are you gonna yell if you're in danger? Not that. What about, you could say Kara, I guess. Not gonna do that either. What are you gonna say then? Skirt. And then 2 seconds later, Supergirl, do something. So, you know, that was the great thing, was this interaction between them. But yeah, so, you know, like I
The
said,
episode, I guess it was the crossover episode where the Green Arrow, Zoom, and Supergirl from the other universe came,
yeah, the Nazi one.
and the two of them are talking about being married, and she says, "Oh, yuck," and she turns and looks at Oliver and says, "Sorry."
Which to be fair, it'll be hilarious in this one when they go to the Elseworld where Oliver actually has super speed. It'll be interesting to see that joke. Also, I have to wonder, are we going to get the angry, grumpy Flash like he plays Arrow, or is he going to have Barry's happy-go-lucky jokester personality and the guy playing Barry try and be the edgy, dark, or Green Arrow type character? That's what I want to know.
I think it's going to be opposite personalities, and they're going to go
You sure? Because
the
if they,
Green Arrow more of the comic book.
I started to say, yeah, because if they did that, it'd be pretty accurate to the, you know, cracking wise every time he turns around Green Arrow than the one they got now. Not that I don't love the way they did it now.
Yeah, no, I do wish, as a fan of Green Arrow, I do wish they would have just called him Connor and got it over with instead of Oliver.
You wanted the Robin Hood hat.
If you're
Yeah.
going to do Green Arrow, I think you got to go back to the Robin Hood hat, and
Well, maybe
I
not the-
I
think
mean,
you-
if you're going to do all
Real,
if you're going to do all,
you
of
don't
it.
need to,
everything in this series, with the exception of the Origin Island story, this is Connor Hawk. This is not Oliver.
It is. It is. I kind of think, you know, even without the hat, they could do like they did in Injustice 2. They could very easily have given him something like that. They could have just lost the hood, kept the domino mask, and made him a jokester. You know, I mean, they did very well in the freaking Injustice 2 game, where he's like, you know, cracking jokes at the intro before the fight. Could have very easily made a character like that. And, you know, we wouldn't be making comparisons to Batman at that point.
Agreed. Let me go on the record. I haven't liked Arrow's team, except for Spartan, since they started putting a team together after Kate Cassidy's role as Black Canary.
Which, to be fair, that's probably the laziest way to bring a character back ever. We killed off a character, and I'm almost 99% sure that it was not their intention to bring Black Siren back. Because it was, she's dead, we made a statue in her honor, and the mayor went on record and outed her as the Black Canary, which makes me wonder, even though I haven't seen this, how did they fix that? What did they do when Laurel Lance mysteriously shows up after having been held prisoner? I'm doing air quotes there since there's no video with this. Prisoner for a year, 2 years, how many years it was since her death, and then comes back. What was their explanation? Oh, it was an alternate Earth Laurel.
Okay.
Like, or I don't even know if that was their origin, if that was their explanation. Like, I want to know what it was. I'm gonna have to go back and like look that up because I want to know how did they explain she's not only dead, that's someone else's body in her grave. We didn't, and that also when I outed her, that was not the real Laurel Lance. Are we doing? Excuse me. Are we doing the Human Target thing where he assumed the role of Tommy Merlin and has Tommy Merlin pretend to be the Green Arrow? Because that was a swerve and a half. Yes. Oh, look, the Green Arrow showed up at Oliver Queen's trial. He can't possibly be the Green Arrow. But who is it under the mask? Tommy Merlin? Haven't you been dead for like 5 or 6 years? Yes, to carry on my crusade without endangering anyone I love. Aren't all the people you love dead? I mean, to be fair, his mother is dead, his father's dead,
we get it.
Dead,
we get it.
Anyways, so, you know.
I don't know. The continuity of the CW stuff is all over the place. I watched an episode of DC, and in the episode, it was, time traveling like they all are. But the Time Lords had sent someone to try and kill all of Rip's team when they were younger.
Yeah.
There is no way that the White Canary, whatever they're calling her now.
White Canary.
White Canary lets her younger self go back to be tortured and everything done that was done to her. She is in no way important to anything, really. Like, everything that's happened, there was no reason to let her go be, and there's no way.
Technically, there is, because if she doesn't go through all that, she doesn't end up with the League of Assassins. And she doesn't become White Canary.
Yeah, but she didn't do any world-saving thing as White Canary.
Like, yes, she did.
Yeah,
she
did.
She saves the timeline.
Yes, but they would have picked someone else. Like, there's a point where you look up and go, I cannot have this horrible life that I have, and
I can't disagree with you.
Like, I just don't see, there's not the big negatives there.
I can't disagree
with you. The whole job is to continuity thing.
But I don't disagree with you. I couldn't, if the same thing had been, if I was in the exact same scenario, horrible things happened to me in my past, and then I wound up saving the Earth, time, the universe,
knowing what
whatever.
It did to her dad.
Knowing what it does to the people. Yeah, knowing what it did to the people in your life. I'm not so sure that I could do it either. I would not be like, hey, you're gonna get on this boat.
Don't.
It's gonna sink. Bad things are gonna happen. Don't make that choice. You do that, your life and the lives of this person, and this person go straight down the toilet for umpteen years.
The world needs Ollie.
The world
needs Ollie. I don't think she would go so far to rob the world of Green Arrow. But the world didn't need her.
To be fair, he wouldn't have gone on that boat, I don't think.
Without her.
Oh, yeah. He was...
Yeah, and she wasn't going to go.
I suspect he would have. It's somebody else.
Well, that's in the realm of what if some possibilities.
Because Dad pulled him on to the boat. Right?
You're right.
So
you're right.
She wasn't supposed to be there. He snuck her on.
Yeah.
So I just... Don't get on this boat. I can't tell you why. It'll be, everyone on the boat will be fine, but you won't if you, like, and we're not even going to touch the dude that there's no way as a man who's so affected by the lack of having a father sits there and watches his father run off. Now, he did try to change that.
Yep.
And I don't know if that actually went through.
Nope, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
But I just don't think there's no way where you actively try to change that.
Yeah.
I mean, you would still become who you are generally. You're still going to go to college. You're still going to, I would run that risk.
like I said, I can't say
I
that
don't know.
I wouldn't say that I can't say I wouldn't run that risk in the same situation, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things of, sometimes it's those arguments of the only way that this succeeded is because it was these people. They said they did it with Booster Gold in one of the comics when he assembled a team to attack Brother Eye. He literally said it has to be Batman because he's the only person who knows it inside and out. It has to be Black Lightning and Canary, and it has to be Mr. Terrific. It has to be these specific people. Hunter, or Rip Hunter, he makes this huge deal about, I picked you all because should you die, you have no effect on the timeline whatsoever. But at the same time, it's kind of one of those situations of, these are the people who actually succeeded multiple times against crazy odds.
When they weren't supposed to.
So it may be simple fact of that X has to happen. We've already established in the DC series on CW that time is moldable, but
Is that what we're calling it?
well, yeah. And I mean, we'll talk about that one day. We'll talk about which things do time travel right and which ones don't. But anyways, we're almost about done here in terms of our self-imposed time limit on this first episode.
Let me say one thing
Go
about
ahead.
the Legends of Tomorrow. I disagree with both my colleagues here because knowing that everything falls like dominoes, I don't know that I would tell myself not to do something for fear of changing something in my life that means a lot to me. Or changing someone else's life that I touched that may affect them in a negative way.
That is a
Because
that's a good way to look at it. I mean,
if she didn't die,
then
Laurel probably would never have become Black Canary.
Talia would still be a member of the League of
Talia
Assassins.
would
No, sorry, Nissa. I apologize.
Nissa would still be a...
To all the people out there that are big fans of the Nissa Sarah ship, I apologize. I'm so used to saying Talia al Ghul, I have to get in the mindset of the CW. Where Talia
She probably would
is
still
the
be a
bastard.
member of the League of Assassins. And, you're not just affecting your life, you're affecting everybody else's that you've ever talked to, touched, spent time with, or anything else.
So you're right. That is a fair point to assume. But so we are up against our time limit we put for ourselves.
Is there anything anybody wants to add real quick before we go? Joe,
not at the
you
moment.
got anything?
No.
I
All right.
think we're good. Okay, so that was the first episode of B-Roll Commentary. We hope that you subscribe and you turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the videos we got coming down the way.
And we will be making videos at some point.
Yes, we are working on getting our video stuff set up. Make sure you like this video if you did enjoy it, so that way we know to make more the state of, and we talk a little bit more in depth about certain series as we go. Most importantly, we hope to see you back for our next video, in which we're going to be looking at some of the comics that we are enjoying reading through right now, and some of our favorite runs from the past that we feel everyone needs to at least take a look at. So, with that out of the way, we'll see you at our next video.